MTN SME Hub. Link to growth. Link to success. Link to the ultimate resource for business advice and insights.
Welcome back to the Big Small Business Show. In studio with us today, we've got Ameera Cassim. She's the founder of Green Dot Café. We've worked out she likes to control things and she's very passionate about food. And she's asked the question how to organically scale. And so I'm going to try and answer that question, but also maybe unpack a couple of other things as well. Right. So for me, if I were working with you, which I am for exactly 8 minutes now, my question would be, why do you want to franchise? The fact that people are asking you to doesn't mean that you have to. There's this concept of, are you a lifestyle entrepreneur or growth entrepreneur? It feels like to me that you are a lifestyle entrepreneur, and one's not better than the other. In fact, lifestyle entrepreneurs have a higher rate of survival than growth entrepreneurs, because as you scale, there's more things that can go wrong, and yes, given your need to control, it's going to drive you insane. So I'm asking you need to ask that question: why do you want to franchise? My next question to you was franchise or company owned. If you've got control issues, and I identify with that, so it's not like you need to identify with that. Then your SOPs, etc., and your controls are very, very important, that you put the controls in place in terms of the quality controls and the quantity controls and all the controls, security controls, all the controls are in place. And so you're building the business from that perspective. And that passion can come through with the store manager. It doesn't need to be a franchisee. That's why I asked you why you want to do it. Because if you've got a franchisee and they've paid the money, then there's a higher level of freedom that they expect in that, and there's more demand. Whereas if you've got a manager running the store, they're more likely to follow your unitized way of rolling it out. So you've got to answer that question. If you want to grow, you've got to answer that question for yourself. And I think it's actually the crux of what's going on, because a big part of you actually said it, big part of your identity comes from the store. It's like a child. You've given birth to this thing, and when you see it pumping and it's busy, it gives you a great sense of fulfillment, that look what I've achieved. And then you're thinking, well, now I'm going to give it to somebody else who's just in it for the money, not for anything else. And so I'll make a bit of money, but they're going to damage my brand if that other store is bad. So I'm just saying, given the personality that I'm seeing now, my instinct is not to franchise until you've got those other things ready, and still keep asking those questions. But very quickly now, in terms of trying to answer your direct question, which is a contradictory question, which is how do you organically grow and scale at the same time? So for me, the starting point is number one is a documented vision, that you've actually written your vision out, that you go take the time to say what does Ameera want? What does she see in terms of Green Dot Café in the future? Does she see 1 mega store, 5 stores, just Gauteng, across South Africa out? What do you see? And in writing that, tell the story of how it grew. What were the issues that you encountered? You're always going to have one bad store. How did you deal with that? You chose the wrong location for that store. Whatever the case may be. So this documented vision is incredibly important, that you actually take the time. In my world, mine's 55 pages long. Okay, typed. Really. So, but I've been doing it for years. I know exactly what I want. Number two, what are the core competencies? What are you going to compete against? When somebody thinks about Green Dot Café, other than being halal, what else is it known for? Because somebody else can open up, Red Dot Café, and it's also halal, and so that can't be the unique selling proposition. So what are you very good at? And that needs to come from you, those 3 or 4 core competencies that you're better at, and you want to drive to make sure that you're better at those 3 or 4 things than any other restaurant of its type that you work on. And that's part of your SOP building. That's what you build. Then third is to build out your unique selling proposition. What's different about this? Is it the feel? Is it the menu? Is it the what do you need to try and quantify what I feel, what's different if I come to Green Dot versus going to the hypothetical Red Dot Cafe. What's different? Like, how would I know I'm in a Green Dot versus in the Red Dot Cafe? Right? How would I know that? So that is how I feel in that store, what I experience. Then we come to the departmental structure. You spoke about your team. You cannot scale without departments. Strategy is executed through departments, and so you have to create a departmental structure. You spoke about the head of coffee. I love that. So coffee sounds like a big thing. What are all the different departments that you have to build out? Even in a hypothetical organogram now, and you'll fill that with people, because Ameera will sit in surrogacy as the head of that department, because you're everywhere now because the business is small. But think through that, and that's part of the vision as well that we spoke about earlier. Then your product, what are the products? So what are the unique recipes? What are their names? What is the pricing for that? How does it come? That whole product, creating the product. If you think about, we're speaking about Tasha's, you think about the product, you can see, when you're in a Tasha's, it's got a certain look and feel that is incredible. And so that versus in a different restaurant. So what is the Green Dot product that's definitely, I know where I am, because that's also part of how when you go and check from a control, that doesn't look like a Green Dot product. Yeah. That send it back. That's not our standard. You can see it. It looks a certain way, and obviously tastes a certain way. And finally, how do you market to that market? And you can't get to scale without thinking about how you market to that market. And you can start that marketing now. Right now, it's probably word of mouth. There's a lot of people know, but how do you market that? And word of mouth is very powerful. Don't underestimate that. But how do you now market what's different about you? And then once you've got all that ready, then if you want to, only if you want to, then you can go the franchise route. But those are the 6 steps that I would follow to so-called organically scale. And I would come back, and I want to re-emphasize this because I think you haven't been true in answering this question is, why do you want a franchise? Do you really want a franchise? Because it feels right now, it's your identity, it's your baby, it's your everything. And you've got to answer that question. If you double your size and you've got no time, that question that I asked in the last session, where's that time going to come from? So you've got some tough questions. So maybe I left you with more questions than answers, but I hope that helped.
Thank you so much. Indeed, it did, Allon.
And that's it for today's show. Do remember, if you think it, write it down and make it a reality.
The Big Small Business Show, proudly sponsored by MTN Business.